Back and forth, baby. Let's go. Agree to disagree. I'm going to go first. So, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Pro wrestling is more about entertainment than athletic competition.
I'll agree with that. In the grand scheme of things, I can agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Finish the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. I mean, you can appreciate a good athletic competition in wrestling, but it's definitely more the story that grabs you, I guess, more than anything.
All right. Give it to me, buddy. What do we got?
So I got mine are a little bit more like specific to stuff. I'm sure yours will get there too, but I'm gonna go with my first one. The merger, the TKO endeavor kind of thing will sooner or later go down as like a net negative thing for WWE.
Just because I have a family business, I feel like I will agree on that because you just want to keep it in the family. And unfortunately, Vince screwed that up pretty hard. So, yeah, I agree. I think it'll be negative at the end of the day. And it's more than just that, too, about the family aspect. It's, TKO, UFC, maybe they don't really rely on the WWE as much as they do with with UFC. I don't know, but that's a good one. I'm going to agree there.
I look at it more as like I had mentioned it like in passing in our reactions documentary thing, but like by having this like board made up of a bunch of people who like aren't really like with the company necessarily, but they have some say in stuff. Like
Good point.
eventually we're gonna get to a point of decisions or bookings or storylines or whatever that don't appeal to like the real fans of the product.
Yeah. Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Here's the next one.
Yeah.
Wrestlers should have more creative control over their characters and storylines.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
But to an extent, right? Not like a Hogan, not like
Yeah.
a Bray Wyatt.
Well, and to an extent, and like for the right people. There's like a story that goes around a bunch about like Hardcore Holly just being like, well, hey, why don't you have me win the Royal Rumble? And they're like, okay, and then what? And he's like, and then I'll just beat everybody and be the champion. Like,
Yeah.
all right, Bob, like, shut up. But like,
Yeah.
people that know how to like do story stuff, like, yeah, yes, I'm not going to get too deep into it. Yes, I agree with you with the right limitations on it.
Yeah, buddy. All right, Keith, give it to me.
So Obafemi in NXT is the real next big thing, more so than Braun Breaker.
I disagree.
That's all right. All right.
I
should clarify in saying
it.
that I don't mean that Breaker. I don't want to say like Breaker is absolutely still like a future world champion and will absolutely have a fantastic career. But
like overall,
yeah, he's still gonna have a fantastic career overall. But like Obafemi is just like he's so much more of a presence to me.
Oh yeah,
that's what I think. He's super athletic, being even bigger. Maybe not running 23 miles an hour and stuff, but
yeah.
He's a massive dude who can move still, which is awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you on that aspect, but I think at the end of the day, Braun Breaker is going to have a bigger name. But I mean, if you want any character to be something special, what Omi has right now is something special. And he can do it in the ring, he can do it on the mic. I mean, those are the keys to success in pro wrestling.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good one, man. That's a good one. I'm going to still disagree, but that's a good
fun.
one. All right, here's one that I really, really, really believe in. Wrestlers' personal lives should be kept separate from their characters in the storylines.
I'm gonna agree with that, but with an asterisk.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Because it's like, I agree. I do wholly agree with you, but like to an extent of like I don't even know how to like word what I mean with it. Like I agree with you, but there's like a limit to like things with it too. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be some aspect of their like personality in it, so we know like where the line is to like not cross or to not whatever from there. You know what I mean? But like, in terms of like an actual just like building the character, like your personal life should just kind of stay separate from it all. But I'm trying to like think of a good example of like what I mean, but I kind of can't.
I got one. So like the whole thing back in the day with Hardy, Edge, and Lita. that should have been kept out. As much as it was entertaining, it was just too much. But then the thing with Christian and, he's your daddy and all that, that's funny to a degree.
No, no, no. I agree, but yeah, I think it's just tough because it's like where do you call that line? Because it's like keep their
Exactly.
personal life separate from it, but then it's like you know they're already kind of like acknowledging just going. We just talked about them. Like they're already talking about like how Rick Steiner is Braun Breaker's dad, which is fine, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
like so like do we not mention him at all?
Yeah.
Like if Rick when Rick Steiner inevitably dies and Braun Breaker is probably still wrestling at that time, is that like a thing where we just like we don't mention his father being a thing and like this means so much more for his dad now and everything? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it is important too, because like as much as finish the story was something we wanted,
Right.
when he had the rock
Exactly.
in and the personal aspect and the love triangle with Cody and Rock and Trips, like there was some realistic aspects to that storyline
Right.
that made it so much better. As much as we
Yeah.
get on the Rock and the whole meme thing, I mean, the whole thing with Brian, without the fans realistically saying, "Hey, he's the man." I don't think he would have went one on one with Trips and then beat Randy and
Right.
Batista on the same night. So yeah, I think more for me, it's more like the cringy stuff. Like I don't need it. And
Yeah.
yeah, like the whole Pillman thing. That was, as much as it was brand
Yeah.
new and just we've never seen anything like that before. It was like, okay,
Yeah,
maybe
and
that's a
like
little,
I
yeah.
also don't need like Seth like being the company man and attacking like Osprey back in the day when that was like 2019 or whatever. When like Osprey was like saying stuff about
Oh
WWE
yeah.
and Seth's just like me,
Oh
I'm the
yeah.
company guy. Like come like no, like just shut
Yeah.
up. Like leave all that out of here. That's weird.
Where does the conversation of bringing up the other company, does that play a factor in this too?
I
No, right?
mean,
That's
we'll get back to that one. I have
yeah.
that one a little bit later.
All right, let's hear it. Give it to me.
So this is a kind of a funny one more than anything. If Billy Gunn had faced Triple H instead of The Rock after he won King of the Ring back in the
King of the
day,
Ring.
he would have gotten a lot more out of that. Maybe not necessarily becoming a world champion, but he would have gotten more out of it. Yeah, I'll leave it there for
Hmm.
your agree disagree, and then I'll lay my case out if you need me to or want me to.
That's a tough one because I think Trips and Rock had the chops, regardless of how athletic Billy Gunn is
For
and how
sure.
good he was. On the mic, it wasn't anything near Trips and The
So
Rock.
that's my whole point though, is that
Yes, baby, we're good.
he wasn't fantastic on the mic necessarily, but he was I feel like he could have held his own against Triple H a lot better than he ever could against The Rock. Now I know a lot of
Yeah,
that comes down to booking and stuff too, but this was also like the Attitude Era when they weren't really scripting the promos. So that was The Rock pulling the pants down and,
yeah,
and God looked at you and said, Bobby, and my name, it doesn't matter what your
Billy. Yeah,
name is. And just, like you're done.
yeah.
You're done there. It's you're dead on arrival. I
So
feel like he could have
yeah,
had a little bit of a better chance to get further with that King of the Ring win if he was
yeah,
if Triple H was the champion at the time and he was going against him instead of The Rock.
yeah. And you know what? One last thing here. I know we pooped on The Rock a lot on our last video regarding
Sure.
the
Sure.
review of Behind the Curtain, but The Rock is The Rock from then to now. He still wanted to get his shit over. Trips, not so much. I understand the whole thing with him and Hogan and Cena. They'll never put anyone over. But I think he respected Billy enough to maybe make it more worth our while, and also maybe change the trajectory
Trajectory.
of
Yeah.
yeah, I said directory. Who cares?
Eh, I know
Of his
we all
career.
know what you meant.
Yep. Yep. All right,
So
buddy.
do you agree or disagree with that one?
I agree. I
All
think
right,
Tripp
cool.
would have helped Billy. I mean, we wouldn't have gotten that whole Bobby thing.
Yeah.
And that
True.
really didn't help as much as Billy Gunn did say something on CVV a few months ago that really just was nothing and there was no heat between him and The Rock. It was just something The Rock said. And I think people just took it like, hey, he's mocking Billy, but it was just a different name, he said.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, buddy. Here's one. Wrestlers should receive more off-season time to rest and recover from injuries.
Agree.
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 Yeah, I'm with you. I think as much as, again, I'm going to go back to it because we were there live. The One of the biggest, moments live for me was to see finish the story, and as much as it was great to see what happened afterwards, and the video played the next night for Cody, and just it was really something special. There's a time and a place. There has to be. And I mean, let's just look at AEW. As much as their content might not be as great as it was, 2 or 3 years ago, they got a lot of injuries, and
Mhm.
maybe there should be some sort of off season. I know money talks and merchandise talks, but hey, yeah, I'm agreeing with you, buddy.
There's so no, I'm agreeing with you. That was your point, and I understand like it's tough to have like an off season for something that's so like fan based. Like it's baseball is like a game. It's a game that's played. It's going to be the same game when it comes back in 6 months after it ends or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be the same game
Yeah,
played. Maybe new players, but the concept is always the same. You can make the argument that wrestling is the same way, but wrestling is so much more about the personalities and like maximizing their screen time and everything. So like it would be tough to have like just a set thing where it's like, every
yeah,
year, like after Mania from like just like the month after Mania ends until like halfway through May, we just
yeah,
stop. But it could be a cool thing, like for like at least like televised shows and stuff. Obviously, I guess that's really what we're talking about here. As you have that as like your
yeah,
reset, like the whole year builds to Mania, cool, and then we get like 3 weeks of it's just like when you're watching weekly, so you're still getting your ratings and your money and stuff. It's kind of just like recaps of the year, or it's just like, hey, here's our this week is
yeah,
like the top 10 matches from the last year on Raw. Next week, the top 10 from SmackDown. You know what I mean? Like you can switch it all up that way. The 10 best from Raw,
yeah.
10 best from SmackDown, 10 best from NXT. Do the Slammies then. Bring those back. Do that then, or
Good
like
point.
separate the Hall of Fame out. Make that an episode when we,
Yeah, yeah,
less
and
physical
the
stuff.
whole
Like, you could
yeah,
work with it and just you think about like how different it could all be right now if there was like more time off. Like if it was more accepted for there to be more time off. Like who knows how long Bret Hart would have lasted if he wasn't so like terrified of missing how
yeah,
much time after getting concussed by Goldberg, Like
yeah,
how much
exactly.
longer could he have gone? How different would the industry be if he had stayed longer and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to keep writing week in and week out. I mean, come on.
Hmm.
There's just a time and a place,
Exactly. Let your
You
writers
just
take like a
can't.
month off and just go like
Yeah,
read
writer's block.
stuff and see, go see things
Yeah,
out in the world and come back. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree with it. That's a good point.
yeah. Let's hear it, buddy. What do you got
So Baron Corbin is one of, if not the most underrated / underutilized talents on WWE's roster currently.
currently? You know what?
Possibly all time, but I'll leave it as currently. But we could
There,
discuss all time some other point.
yeah, there are a good amount of guys that I think are right up there with Baron. The guys like a Garza, somebody like that. My
Mhm.
boy Tyler Bate, somebody like that. Um, Man, that's a good one. I'm
I
gonna
just
I'm gonna I'm gonna agree. I
cool.
think
Right on.
currently, right now, yes.
Because it's just I say it as like he's another one that's kind of like Gable, like when we were talking about with Gable getting the Duder this past year.
Yeah,
Like Corbin is someone just like him that like from the aspect of like whatever they give to him, he dives like headfirst into it and just tries everything he has to make it work. Like King Corbin, Constable overall,
yeah,
sad Corbin where his hair's growing back in and shit, happy Corbin, all that stuff. Like whether or not we actually liked the gimmicks that he was doing at the given times, he's always like all in on it and just plays it up to the best that he possibly can.
yeah,
And like going back to what you kind of started off here with, of like it's more about the entertainment side. Like, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, Baron Corbin's such a major like ring technician. He's fine in the ring. I don't think he's like awful. He's not like
yeah,
the greatest of all time in the ring and everything, and that's fine. But like from the character standpoint, he puts in what he needs to put in, and like it's
yeah,
I don't know. I thought of this one because like his last run in NXT was like he was doing really cool. Like, he was doing like fun stuff with like Breaker and all, and then they drafted him, and we haven't really seen him since again,
yeah,
and it's kind of
yeah.
crappy.
I Do you have any other names that are? similar. I mean, I like I said, I love my Garzas. I think he really truly
Mhm.
is something special. It's just, the mic work is stopping him.
Right.
Um,
Corbin's
Man,
the main
that's a
one
good
that
one.
stuck out to me. You know, there's
Yeah,
there. I think there's probably some peeps in NXT right now that might be in a
yeah,
similar path, but they're still like developing. So it's like
yeah,
they haven't gotten to that point of like switch these things up too much quite
yeah,
yet. In terms of main roster, I mean, the guys they always give the love to. Like KO always sinks his teeth into anything they give him, whatever it is, and he's also just fantastic in the ring.
yeah,
It's just like I was just like thinking about it, like because like Corbin had a lot of crap going on, like around the same time that we had like friggin' Retribution, where like everybody who was in Retribution was like miserable about the fact that they were in there, and I'm
yeah,
sure there's a whole, and we'll see all the whatevers as interviews go on with Dijak and everyone else about like why it was that way and everything, and like poor booking or planning or whatever, but like you know whatever the whole I was just like thinking of like Corbin with like when he was the constable of Raw. I was like, that didn't even make sense. Raw and SmackDown had GMs. Constable wasn't even a thing. There was
yeah,
no counterpoint to him on like SmackDown or whatever. But he just was like, yeah, I'm just gonna I'll be the kind whatever. I don't know what that really means, but I'll just dive into it. I'll wear a friggin' a dress shirt and vest and everything and dress pants and shoes into the ring and I'll wrestle in that and I'll come out and make the bad decisions for you guys because that's what you need me to be. And like, just boom, did it. Next, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. It's a good one. We could do a much longer
Oh,
video
absolutely.
on that. Yeah. All right, here we
What's
go,
your next
buddy.
one? Yeah, what do you got?
Wrestlers should be paid based on their draw and impact on ratings rather than a fixed salary. Back in the day, you main event WrestleMania, you're getting paid. Not so much anymore. What do you got? It's hard to do that. I get it.
I'm gonna disagree with that one. Only, but that's tough though, because like I disagree with it, but like it's I disagree with it just because of the people that make the decisions about how much your TV time and how much your ratings and everything are really going to pop for them are the same ones that are paying you. So
Yeah.
it's like a thing of like they can kind of like hold the reins on you a lot more. Plus, like especially, and I say it all the time when like the stuff comes out about like, oh well, AEW won in the ratings and WWE did this in the ratings and stuff. Like ratings nowadays, especially with like where we live in an age of like YouTube. Hey everyone, YouTube and like streaming services and all this kind of stuff. Like ratings are like not as they're not like as big of a thing for me, like to me anymore.
No.
Like if the Monday Night War was going on now, it'd be a whole different ball game because it's not
Yeah.
really. I said it before, like the last video that we did with everything. Like I don't really watch anything any of the anything that I watch is never live. It's recorded on my DVR and then I watch it later. Like, does that count to the rating? Probably not, because like I just watched last week's NXT today. So whatever last week's NXT ratings were already are gone because they're getting
Yeah.
yesterday's in now. Like
Good point. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you DVR it, but I don't know.
that's what I mean. Like I don't know how it all works. I'm sure somebody
Yeah.
does. Let us know if you do. But I think I don't know how their contracts are like structured because like I do also feel you that it should be something where it's like like any other professional athlete is, where it's just like
Yeah.
the more vital you are to the company, the more money that you're making. But even if it's something where everybody's getting a base pay of I don't know.
Yeah. I have no clue.
250,000. I'm sure it's more than that, but whatever. Let's call it. Everyone gets a base pay of like 250,000. Awesome. But then, like, if you're Roman Reigns and you're the one that's been the top merch seller for like 3 months, and you're like, there should be like
Yeah.
a thing of like, if your merch sales hit over X amount of money, you're getting bonuses of X amount more to that base salary every like that paycheck for those months that you're above. That's you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
every month that you're above this like threshold of like merch sales, you're getting extra in your paycheck too,
Yeah.
or your salary or whatever.
Yeah. And I don't think I'm not like factoring in like radio spots and commercials.
Right.
Yeah, it's more of just, what you see on TV.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. What do you got?
All right.
Any more?
Yeah, I got two. So I have in the very very near future here, there's going to be a major influx of like already well-known talent like coming into WWE.
I agree. Just because of the whole aspect with what they're doing with Impact or
Right.
TNA. And
Right.
I feel like Trips wants to do something like that, similar to what Tony did in the very beginning with the
Mhm.
Forbidden Door. And it wasn't so much about AEW. And even with Impact, to an extent, he did some things with Impact, but it was majority just because they wanted to get AEW over. I think Trips looks at it differently, and he wants, what we seen this week. We saw the Rascals. That was something I think we've
Right.
all wanted for a long, long time. Sorry, I know you haven't watched this week's
No, 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 I
episode.
know. No, you're
Yeah,
good. On the
the
docket for tomorrow. I
Graces.
know that that's kind of what honestly,
Yeah,
that's like what had me thinking about this because I was like seeing all like the highlights for things from last night and everything. And like,
yeah,
with all of that kind of any of the like so far, the majority of like the TNA people that have shown up in NXT, I don't know about the Rascals necessarily, but like I know like
yeah.
Hendry and Jordan Grace, their contracts are up like relatively soon.
Oh yeah,
And I think that's a big
smart.
part of this is they're just like, hey, let's put Hendry on NXT like 3 weeks in a
Yeah,
row because we kind of want him to come here anyway. Let's start getting people
damn,
familiar
that's
with him,
pretty
and then we can
smart.
just sign him right on.
Yeah,
Jordan Grace, I know she's only been on a couple, like not as much as Hendry has been, but she's in the same boat. Her contract's coming up soon.
yeah,
I know there's a couple in AEW that are the same boat. I just saw a thing today that like Dustin Rhodes' contract is up, which not to the same gravity as the other people we're talking about here, but I mean it's Cody's brother.
yeah,
Why wouldn't they bring him back? We don't. I
yeah,
don't know where Ricky Starks or Miro have been. They would absolutely. I know. I'm positive Miro would come back to WWE.
yeah,
Starks is good friends with Cody. I don't see why he wouldn't come into WWE.
yeah,
Um, and I
yeah.
think
Ego.
especially, I think Cody's like the big thing with that, like with Cody, with that, with
Yes.
everyone like kind of seeing how Cody was treated, being the first ones that like, being literally a founder of the company that was the first challenge to WWE. Like,
Yeah,
oh, look, he went there. He's this major build up world champion. They're not like killing everybody that goes over there. It just seems like it's a much more appealing prospect than in the past of going and being afraid that Vince is going to be like, you wanted to go there first? Well, now you're going to be a dairy farmer.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's also
yeah.
another good point too, as in like the aspect of fear, like jumping from
Hmm.
one company to the other. Like I don't see that anymore. I see it to be positive. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's another good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
All right, let
What do
me
you got?
get it here, brother. Here we
Yeah.
go. Pay-per-view events are vital for pro wrestling promotions to generate revenue and build storylines. And I'm not talking about the big 4 or 5, not don't, I'm not including WrestleMania. Obviously, that's what you need to put over storylines, like finish the storyline, but just in general.
Yeah, I agree with that. Pay-per-views they're going to be your best source of income. Again, talking about all that stuff we were just saying with ratings and streaming services and whatnot being their own thing. Like, you know,
Yeah.
convincing people to pay that $50 for a show, even if you get 1,000 buys across the whole country, that's still 50 grand
Yeah.
extra in your pocket that you didn't have
Yeah. I'm with you on that
for
too.
sure.
I think what's happening in the WWE is really important too. As much as I may not agree with it as much with foreign pay per views more often, I do
Right.
think pay per views like Bad Blood for the first time in a long time that's coming back,
Hmm.
and even Forbidden Door maybe the first and second year of that was just like wow something special. It gets whatever they want over, and I think as AEW, you have to pay like 50 to $60, I think, and with WWE, you need some sort of subscription. So I get it, but yeah, I also understand maybe why some people would disagree too. You know,
Right.
as in like,
Right.
what's the point? Yeah, 360 340 days a year. It just is it really that critical? I don't know, but yeah, I agree. What do you got? Let's hear it.
Yeah, my last one, we kind of alluded to it earlier, so I was just keeping it till the end here.
Oh yeah,
No one in really either of the two major companies should be taking shots at the other in promos or anywhere else, really. there's just like there's no point to it. Like if you're someone who was in WWE that went to AEW, all you're doing is just acknowledging that that was a thing that happened in your past. Like it just looks bad. Like you have clearly moved on to better things, or you have a contract and stuff. So like why, you were able to get the money that you have now in AEW because of WWE. So why are you going to shit on that company? And same vice versa. If you went from AEW to WWE, like, you know, I would say like someone like Alexis King right now in NXT. Not that he's like done it, but just he's the first one that popped in my head. Like,
Yeah,
you know, especially with him coming in as that, I don't know that many people would really talk about, like, would really know much about him in anything, just showing up in NXT to start with, or, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
people knew his name and stuff from AEW, knew he left AEW, and then he showed up there. It was a much bigger thing for him there. Like, it's weird. And then, especially, if you find yourself in a situation like a Shawn Spears, who was in WWE, went to AEW, now came back to WWE, it's just like, well, or like Punk, like, you're talking shit on either side again now. Like, just shut up. Like, you're clearly, your super big feelings you have at that time don't mean anything, because you're just saying it about the other thing every back and forth. So just shut up and work for your company. Like, work
yeah,
for yourself. It doesn't matter who your company is. Wrestle and entertain. I don't know. I ran it a lot.
yeah.
General point for you to agree or disagree is that no one in either major company should be taking shots at the other.
I think I will disagree, but to an extent, and I think it's similar to our conversation with personal lives. I think to an
Okay.
extent it helps because it's like, okay, well, they know they exist because with Vince, don't say anything,
Right.
don't say their first name, don't say their last name, don't say their name when they were in Impact, New Japan, say Ryback or something like that. Like
Right.
it's.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about it from that aspect, but yeah, I get you.
because I pop every time, if it's if Cole says something about, AJ wrestled this many years in New Japan and then he had a stint with Impact. It's like it's kind of cool.
No,
But
totally, and
talking, yeah,
I'm for that too. I don't mean getting rid of that. That stuff is fine. Like
like talking shit.
talking about another company for like building up like their past or whatever. For sure, keep doing that. That's awesome. And either side, absolutely.
Yeah,
But like, I'm trying to like think of a like MJF is really good for like, not to talk smack on him because he's a great talker and everything, but like MJF's good for a like, the bidding war of 2024, or like saying, you're going to go over there and, suck the dick of this and Saudi dick and everything. Like,
yeah,
all right, man. Like, I don't agree with the Saudi shows either, but like those people that go to the Saudi shows get paid
they
bank to
love it.
do it.
Yeah,
Like, like whatever, man. Like, it's like the whole thing of like the dude, like the person on your street who gets a Tesla. And you're just like, the car sounds weird. What an asshole. Like, no, you're just mad that they had enough money to be able to afford a $40,000 car. Like, shut up.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a tough one. Yeah, to yes, I still disagree
Yeah, that's fine.
because it gives it something. It gives, I don't know, like when Tripp said something about AEW during the Hall of Fame speech for DX, like, I don't know, I
Yeah,
thought that was
he'll buy
kind of,
that pissant company
yeah,
and cry and fire and all
yeah,
that stuff. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
but like MJF doing a little, going a little overboard. Yeah, again, it's kind of like the personal lives, I don't need to hear it. Just do
Yeah.
your own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I dig it.
Right on.